Let's move on to video 6, glutamatergic agents in the treatment of OCD. So glutamatergic agents really become more and more popular in OCD treatment strategy. Glutamate is the primary excitatory CNS neurotransmitter. We first knew that there may be an issue with glutamate in OCD because of genetic studies that were done about 20 years ago that implicated the SLC1A1 transporter. And animal studies have also implicated synaptic proteins SAPAP3, again, also related to glutamate. And so there was secondary evidence from neuroimaging and neurochemical data that generally supports that there seems to be a glutamatergic problem in the treatment in OCD. So one of the medications that is most commonly used nowadays is Memantine. It's a non-competitive NMDA receptor antagonist. Now, it's approved for Alzheimer's disease. One of the very early studies that showed that 6 of 14 patients improved. This was a case series that was done. They gave Memantine to 14 patients. 6 of them responded. And you can see that the responders had a much greater decrease in their Y-box compared to people who were non-responders. So if you respond to Memantine, you seem to respond fairly robustly. There was a single-blind treatment in an intensive residential program where 44 patients at the OCD Institute, there were 22 received Memantine, and notice that the Y-box decreased much greater in the Memantine group than in the group that was not getting Memantine. And so 35% of the Memantine group were related as very much improved. Only 7.1% of control subjects were related as improved. So even though the Y-box decrease doesn't look very large, the clinical improvement on the CGI was actually pretty high. And that often is the case with OCD. Sometimes small changes in the Y-box can cause a big clinical improvement in the patient. So Memantine, the bottom line is it's been shown to work in 2 double-blind placebo-controlled trials. One was in treatment-resistant patients and one was in treatment-responsive patients. So Memantine works in both treatment-resistant and treatment-responsive patients. It really should be used at a minimum of 20 milligrams daily, and we can dose it as high as 40 milligrams a day. Memantine may be especially useful for compulsions. Many patients will report to me that their obsessions remain the same, but they no longer feel the great urge to actually do the compulsion. It is a reason now that it is my first-line augmentation outside of clomipramine, just because it has a good response and because the side effect profile is so low. We have less side effects than the second-generation antipsychotics, although there is much less evidence with Memantine than the second-generation antipsychotics. That's why I believe it makes a much better first- or second-line augmenter. Memantine has now been shown to be more effective for body-focused repetitive behaviors in a single trial. So body-focused repetitive behaviors are issues with skin picking, hair pulling, or other types of body-focused behaviors. And you may use the Memantine instead of NAC for BFRBs because being that it's a prescription medication, I think we can ensure better formulation as opposed to what you're buying over the counter. Another glutamatergic medication with some good evidence for OCD is Riluzole. Riluzole is a calcium and sodium channel blocker that's approved for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. So it inhibits synaptic glutamate release and enhances glutamate uptake by the astrocytes. Now, with Riluzole, one issue is that the patients require monthly monitoring of their transaminases. Their liver enzymes often go up with Riluzole, and we need to check and make sure that it goes down over time. It seems to be a transient elevation only, so we monitor once a month for 3 months and then every 3 months for a year. And then periodically after that, I will monitor on a monthly basis or every 3 months at a minimum until the LFTs have gone back down to their baseline range, and then after that, periodically. Riluzole has been shown to be effective in both case series and in open-label trials. It worked in one randomized controlled trial. What was interesting, there was a subset of patients that it worked for only in their obsessions, but in the other subsets of people that it did not work. It seems to be effective also in children, but interestingly, Riluzole is not effective as an add-on in children. It was only effective as a single agent. In adults, it was effective as an augmenter to SSRIs. It seems to improve mood and anxiety as well as obsessions, and also was well tolerated except for the LFTs. So there are some favorable results in open label and case series trials. So there's a 12-week open label trial at 100 milligrams a day. 7 of 13 responders were at the typical 100 milligrams a day, some were up to 200, and they had a greater than 35% reduction in their Y-box with no adverse effects. Another Riluzole trial, 4 of 6 responders at 100 milligrams a day showed a greater than 39% reduction in their Y box. So that is a significant improvement. But again, no significant difference in a follow-up double-blind randomized controlled trial. Now, with treatment-resistant children, there were a large amount of them. 17 had comorbid autism. 85% completed the trial. The Y box in the Riluzole group decreased from 27 to a little under 22. In the placebo group, they decreased from 29 to 22.5. So there's a fairly significant decrease even in the placebo group. So there were about the same number of patient responders in both groups. What's important to note is glutamatergic agents don't act the same in children as they do in adults. And overall, the data seems to be a little more consistent with adults. Let's talk about N-acetylcysteine. It's an amino acid derivative that modulates glutamate transmission. Everyone has used it in their residency. It's an inhaled version for acetaminophen overdose. Note that the randomized controlled trials have either been mixed or negative when used as an augmenter to OCD. Now, it has been shown to be effective in body-focused repetitive behaviors. So you can use it for a BFRB. However, we do not recommend it for OCD at this time. And as of this point, I'm typically recommending Memantine over NAC for BFRB simply because that we can give a prescription medication where we can be more assured of the formulation. There's another glutamatergic agent called D-cycloserine. This was originally a tuberculin medication and may accelerate extinction learning. It seems to be well tolerated, with only GI distress, dizziness, and anxiety being the major side effects. There have been a number of different studies done with D-cycloserine. So in a 2020 study, they either gave doses of 100 or 250 at lunchtime in the middle of a 4-day-long ERP session. No differences were noted with placebo, but because it was an intensive ERP session, the intensive ERP seemed to probably overpower what the D-cycloserine did. There have been numerous different protocols that have been done with D-cycloserine. Some studies have shown an advantage for D-cycloserine if you give it before or during the treatment, and they seem to get a more rapid response with the ERP. However, that goes away with additional treatment. So in other words, even in the best case scenario, D-cycloserine seems to help the initial response to ERP, but the end result is no different than it is with people not on D-cycloserine. At this point, there is no timing and dosing that is still standard for D-cycloserine. As a result, it's really not ready for prime time. It's a medication that really should only be used in research studies, and it's less successful in children. There is another glutamatergic medication that has been showing some good data, Lamotrigine. Lamotrigine is an anticonvulsant with some anti-glutamatergic properties, and there was one double-blind randomized controlled trial that showed improvement. The study group had a significant decrease compared to the placebo group with a P of 0.015. There was another double-blind randomized controlled trial that had 33 completers and significant clinical global improvement in the active group. Now, patients who have comorbid schizoaffective disorder may show even more improvement. So right now, we need more studies. There's only been these 2 small studies with Lamotrigine. It seems that Lamotrigine may be effective as an augmenter to the SSRIs, but seems to be particularly good with comorbid mood or psychotic disorders. So I typically will think about Lamotrigine augmentation if my patients have comorbid bipolar disorder or comorbid schizophrenia. There are other glutamatergic medications that have been studied as well, such as ketamine, which is a non-competitive NMDA antagonist. Ketamine seems to have a robust anti-obsessional effect, but it's fairly transient of an antidepressant effect. There is some possible benefit in unmedicated patients. However, in medicated patients who are on SSRIs, the benefit seems to be minimal, and in the initial studies, it actually triggered suicidal ideations in 2 patients. Note that there's also really limited data for S-ketamine, as ketamine is the version that you can give in your office. So as a result, right now, we're not recommending ketamine outside of research settings. I want to talk about other glutamatergic medications that have been studied. Topiramate has been studied. There was one small randomized controlled trial that showed a decrease in the Y box, but a second showed no statistical improvement at all. Because of the side effects, topiramate is typically not used and generally not recommended. Pregabalin was looked at, but only in case series and open label. Very little data to go ahead and recommend that glutamatergic medication. Gabapentin was studied. There was one negative study with gabapentin in OCD. Unfortunately, I see gabapentin used quite a bit, despite the fact that there is no data and actually even one negative study with gabapentin in OCD. So again, not recommended for OCD treatment. So the key points, glutamatergic medications need more randomized controlled trials for greater evidence. So it's not that the glutamatergic medications may not work, it's just simply that the evidence isn't there because a lot of the research hasn't been done. I think the risk-benefit analysis prioritizes glutamatergic medications over antipsychotic medications. Evidence for children and adults for this class of medications are very different, and we're getting very different results with adult and children. So Memantine and Riluzole are the two most commonly used glutamatergic medication. There is increasing evidence for Lamotrigine, especially with comorbid mood and psychotic disorders. Medications like ketamine and D-cycloserine should not be used outside of a research setting. While NAC may be useful with BFRBs, it is not useful as an augmenter for OCD. Memantine may be preferred over NAC for BFRBs just due to its prescription status.